Chapter 5. The Accident. The day was April 17th, 2006. Mike was already off to work as the sun was rising. Our baby and I gradually woke up to a clear, sunny Southern California morning. Looking out of the master bedroom's circular cove room windows, our city boasts a view of the Santa Monica Mountains, clay-top roofs, and the blue Pacific Ocean afar. If one looked closely, sailboats could be identified as well as cruise ships. Out of my peripheral vision, I noted a slight breeze, since the pepper tree's leaves were glistening with each whiff of airflow. We listened to the different sounds of the various birds outside and paused to listen and count how many different birds were chirping here and there. We took the long route to wake up, my usual method that created its own entity, fondly known as morning mommy-daughter playtime. Goo-goo time, to be exact. And if you really want to know, it has always provided me the most precious and vivid memories for reminiscing about my babies. Then off to the city of Moorpark, 50 miles away for horse riding lessons, visiting my father, going back home for a nap, and finally, meal preparation and readiness for my husband to come home from work. No, I was not going to ride a horse, silly. It was our daughter who fell in love with horses the first time she saw one. It was October 2004 in a pumpkin patch that happened to have little ponies walking around in circles. We were blessed to discover the ponies only because the pumpkin patch was on the way to my sister Farah's house. Here, all the other mothers had their toddlers screaming because they did not want to ride the pony. After trying in frustration to get a toddler onto a pony, many mothers abandoned the pony ride because of the fiasco the toddlers made as they screamed for dear life and abandoned any sense of logic. Hopeless mother after hopeless mother dragged their shrieking toddler off to pet the lambs instead. That was the day we knew she would be a horse girl. Had she been born from another mother, perhaps that mother would not have been zoned in to pick up on these small moments in life that become everlasting. Perhaps the next mother would have laughed the whole day off and stopped there at simply going to a pumpkin patch. No, we saw the inner joy and happiness that gripped our daughter's attention, captured her into the world of horses, and propelled her into this world of horses like an unseen magnet of captivation. It is as if this was her destiny, to love horses and puppies and birds and pigs and a giraffe. To love them so much that she wants one of each to live in our backyard. First thing in the morning, we laughed together as I tickled my little girl and played in bed. We played horsey as my legs' quadriceps muscles fasciculated with the precious 40-plus pound weight. Horsey to the left, horsey to the right. Oh, a jump is coming up. Better get ready. Remember, keep your head up and your toes to the sky, and whap! Up in the air you go, eyes forward, holding the jump at the tallest apex of the triangular jump. Oh, the horse is getting tired. Your reins are getting lower and lower. Down, down, down. You are both falling, and whoop! You just crashed on Mommy. Epiphany. No wonder the little one likes horses so much. Perhaps it was ingrained in her since she was born, as these mother-daughter mourning times were so fantastically imaginary, yet came to fruition as the little one actually began riding horses. As I put the back of my hand up to the window, I estimated the weather to be in the 40s. Ignoring all the problems of life and starting a new day afresh, we first gave thanks to God for another day of life. During these times, it took 30 or 40 minutes for our sleepy-headed daughter to go from a gradual awakening stupor to the priceless, gregarious laughter of a child. Squeals that awakened slowly while playing horsey, and then flying baby Peter Pan singing, "You can fly, you can fly, you can fly." Playing and teaching, rectangle here, circle there, tickle, tickle, and smell those tiny toes, and then feign, pew, until our daughter, who was trying to keep her face straight, i.e. the stone face game, burst out loud with the kind of gregarious giggle that remains etched forever in my mind. Red and blue, green and pink. Preschool talk, preschool walk, precious times as we eventually made our way out to my brown 1997 Ford Explorer truck for departure. Saddle, yes. Riding boots, yes. New shirts for my father, yes. And 2 new pairs of shoes, as well as Sunny Delight fluids and salsa. And water. Check. Ready for takeoff. Preparing to leave the Pacificates house, which was now sold, I stumbled across boxes and stepped over packaging tape rolls. The locksmith finally arrived, and his last antique key opened up the Pennsylvania antique cabinet that my sister Elena had kindly spotted for me at a garage sale. Porcelain Yadro figurines had to come out of the cabinet in preparation for the move. Alternatively, each was held onto the cabinet shelving by dots of museum wax that allowed for sticking on some objects, and hopefully no items would fall and break in an earthquake. But with all my experience as an anesthesiologist and as an intensivist running an intensive care unit, ICU, I just cannot let accidents or complications occur in the future. I have seen so many things happen that I lie in wait for complications to occur, and I think ahead. I search with all my might, and I consciously pray for the will and the insight to see situations that other people don't see, to predict occurrences and prepare for their consequences. So I am not just lying in wait. My mind is constantly thinking, albeit slower and more tediously than ever before. I have met with an exhaustive array of both life-saving and non-life-saving situations. Plan and make decisions. Act. Do good. Be good. Be vigilant. Think ahead. Coordinate your own assignment and accomplish what you want to accomplish. Take the responsibility and do not let your defensive ego yell its case into my ear. Be humble. Admit your mistakes and learn from them. Ask for help before you need it. Not just when you fall unconscious to the floor. Err on the conservative side and know that God alone knows the intentions of the human mind. Simplify everything. I projected my thoughts into the future. This is the Stanford mentality I developed as a fellow in the ICU. We were taught to notice details that could lead to potential disasters
thereby averting the disaster by instituting an intervention. Small blood result deviations, subtle changes in the physical exam, or spoken keywords in a patient's complaint that could be harbingers of a patient's downward spiral to death. My job was to detect these clinical nuances, to seek and destroy so that the patient could live. Now we were moving. It seemed that with every relocation in our lives, something was bound to get lost, stolen, or broken. I could only wonder at what would mysteriously disappear, what would be stolen by the movers, or how much of this I could handle on my own, since my husband Mike worked CEO hours without CEO pay. As I slid the keys into my truck ignition, the starter readily lent spark to the engine. Before backing out of our driveway, I took a final look up and down the hill road, ensuring that I could back up with ease without one single car in the street. The street is on the slope of a mountain, and the steepness of the road seemed to be about 45 degrees. All that I had to do was to back out of the short garage driveway. Then I could begin my descent towards civilization and the realities of my life outside the four walls of our house. I loved being at home. Home was my beloved fortress of refuge, serenity, and my place of recuperation and dependence on God and my family. Sure enough, we easily made our way down the long 3.5-mile mountain, and it was a typical California sunny day, one that called for me to wear sunblock. A petite breeze was a welcomed relief from the bitter sting of the sun. I was glad it was a good weather day, because that meant driving and negotiating my way from here to there, to another there, and my self-imposed curfew to be on the road back home before evening rush hour was upon us. As any parent with a toddler knows, being stuck in traffic was akin to being stranded without a restroom. This was my biggest plight on these trips we took for riding lessons. Little children have little urinary bladders. Solution? Pull over first, ensuring that it is a safe parking spot. Take out the little potty chair, and that is how mommy and daughter solve the problem. In the safety of the truck and its darkly tinted back windows. After the PP emergency, not just RELIEF, but beloved bliss by then. Oh, how overjoyed we get when our toddlers are to sleep overnight without peeing in the bed. Winding northward toward the San Fernando Valley, going up Malibu Canyon was the most dangerous portion of the drive. While a passenger on the right side could peek trepidly out of his or her car window, it looked for all intents and purposes that a free fall down the canyon mountains was not outside the range of possibilities. Truck driving straight off the cliff? This would easily occur, should I take my eyes off the road to glimpse the scenery. Every winding curve was blind, and there was no divider between traffic going in either direction. One slip and an opposing driver going toward the beach could miscalculate a turn and push me over the mountain road. I would either end up driving straight off the mountain road, or I would tumble and tumble, flipping over and over again. until a temporary resting place at the bottom of the canyon was eventually reached. I shudder to myself as drunken drivers take an annual toll of unnecessary preventable deaths. This is one mountain road that I would not like to have any involvement in a car accident. The drop-off from the road must be incredibly tough and deadly. No, I could think of better ways to die. I have no desire to have a struggling or tragic death. I'm going to live my life one day at a time, taking notice and sending thanks to God.